called you 7 times, and I need you to hear that not as a number, but as a testimony of what I have been willing to do to reach you, because the fact that I kept calling after the first time and the second time and the third time and all the way through to the 7th tells you something about the nature of what I have been trying to say and the nature of the God who has been saying it. I am God, and I do not call 7 times for something small. I do not pursue a soul with that kind of persistence for a message that could wait, or a word that was not urgent, or a revelation that would not change everything about the way that person moves through the rest of their life once they finally receive it. 7 times I reached toward you. 7 times I created a moment and a window and a specific opening for what I needed to say to get through to you. And today, right now, in this moment, is the 7th. This is the call you are finally answering. And what I have been waiting 7 attempts to tell you is worth every single one of them. Before I tell you what the message is, I need to tell you why it took 7 times, because understanding the reason changes the way you receive what is coming. The first 6 times I called it was not that you were not listening. It was not that you were being disobedient or faithless or spiritually dull in a way that made you unable to hear. The first 6 times I called, there was something in the atmosphere of your life that was interfering with the signal. The noise of the season, the weight of what you were carrying, the specific kind of exhaustion that accumulates in a person who has been in a hard season long enough that even the moments of genuine quiet are not fully quiet, because the mind keeps running even when the circumstances stop demanding its attention. Every one of those 6 previous moments I created for this message to arrive, something in the interference caught it before it could fully land. And instead of deciding that you were not ready or that the message was not worth delivering, I did what I have always done with the people I love who are harder to reach in a particular season. I tried again. 7 is not the number of my frustration with you. 7 is the number of my commitment to you. It is the number of times I decided that what I have to say is important enough to keep trying until the right moment finally opened wide enough for it to get all the way through. This is that moment. And what I have been trying to reach you with for 7 attempts is this. Something significant is coming into your life, and it is coming specifically because I called you, and because you finally answered, and because the act of you being here right now in this moment is the completion of a circuit that releases what has been held in reserve, waiting for exactly this connection to be made. What is coming is not something you earned by finally picking up on the 7th call. It was always coming. It was prepared before the first call was ever made. But the delivery of it required your awareness. Not because I cannot move without your permission, but because what is coming is something that requires a conscious receiver to fully inhabit when it arrives. A person who does not know it is coming cannot position themselves to receive it completely. A person who is still living as though nothing has changed cannot step into the fullness of what changes when the thing that is coming finally arrives. I needed you to know. That is why I called 7 times. That is why this is the 7th attempt. That is why today of all days is the day this message finally got all the way through. Because today you are ready to know, and what you are about to know is going to change the way you carry yourself from this moment forward in a way that accelerates everything else that heaven has been preparing. Let me tell you what is coming, because you deserve specificity and not just the warm, general feeling of something good on the horizon that dissolves before it reaches the actual circumstances of your daily life. What is coming is a breakthrough in the area that has been the most resistant, the one that has defied every natural effort you have made to move it, the one that has stayed exactly where it was, no matter how hard you pushed or prayed or believed or tried to release it into God's hands and then quietly took it back because releasing it fully was more terrifying than carrying it. That area, the specific one that came to your mind as you read those words, is the area that is about to experience the kind of movement that only happens when God personally decides to intervene in something that human effort alone could not resolve. And He has decided. The decision was made before the first call. The intervention has been in preparation through all 7 attempts. And now that the circuit is complete and the connection has been made, the intervention is releasing into your life with a force and a completeness that is going to make the resistance that held that area in place for so long look small and temporary and entirely insufficient against the power of a God who decided that enough was enough and that the time for that particular breakthrough had arrived. What is coming also covers the area of your relationships, because I know that is where some of the deepest unresolved pain lives, and it deserves to be addressed directly in this message rather than left as an afterthought after everything else has been spoken. The connections that have been strained, the people who drifted, the specific absence that left a shape in your life that nothing else has quite been able to fill. All of that is being addressed in what is coming. New people are being drawn toward your life who were specifically created for the version of you that exists right now. Not the version that existed before this season changed you, not the version that will exist after the next season develops you further, but the exact version of you that is sitting here right now, answering the 7th call. Those people are going to recognize something in you that the people who walked away could not fully see. They are going to stay in a way that the people who left were not capable of staying. And the relationships that were always meant to anchor your life are going to be established in this season with a depth and a genuineness that makes everything that came before them look like rehearsal for the real thing. I want to say something about the 7 calls that goes beyond just the number, because there is a pattern in the 7 that I want you to carry with you beyond this moment. Every time I called and the message did not fully get through, something still happened. Something small but real shifted each time. The first call left a residue of hope that you could not quite shake even when circumstances gave you every reason to. The second call deepened something in your capacity to believe that you did not fully notice happening. The third call built a layer of resilience in you that has been one of the primary things sustaining you through this season without you even knowing that was what it was there for. The fourth call increased your sensitivity to the voice you were created to respond to, so that when the 7th call finally came through completely, you were able to receive it with a depth of receptivity that the version of you who received the first call did not yet have. The 5th call was preparation. The 6th was positioning. And the 7th, this one right now, is the delivery of everything the first 6 were building toward. None of the 6 that came before this one were wasted. They were all working together to make this moment, the moment you are in right now, the most receptive and the most transformative version of this moment that it was possible for it to be. You answered on the 7th call, and that is not a small thing. There are people who never answer at all. There are people who answer on the first call and then put the phone down before the message is finished. There are people who hear the beginning and convince themselves they already know the rest and miss what was most important. You stayed. You listened. You let this get all the way through. And what gets released into the life of a person who answered on the 7th call and stayed for the full message is something that would not have been available at any earlier call. It is the full version, the complete uncompromised release of everything that was being held in reserve for the moment the connection was finally complete. That release is happening right now, in your finances, in your health, in your relationships, in your peace, in your purpose, in the deep internal landscape of a person who just found out that the God who created them cared enough to call 7 times and is now releasing everything those 7 calls were always leading toward. If something opened up in you while reading this today, if something that has been tightly closed just loosened, if the specific area of your life that has been the most stuck just felt a movement that surprised you, If tears came that you were not expecting because something you had stopped waiting for just became something you are waiting for again. Type, "I answered on the 7th call and I receive everything God has been holding for me" in the comments right now, and let that be the declaration that marks the moment the connection was completed. Because completing the circuit matters, and saying it out loud is the moment you step fully into what was released, rather than standing at the edge of it wondering if it is real. Drop your name below, because every name that appears today is being covered, and yours belongs there. Share this with one person who has been feeling like God has not been able to reach them, because maybe this is their 7th call too, and maybe you are the one who is supposed to make sure it gets through.